Hello, everyone. My name is Reese Bevan-John. I'm here to moderate this panel. Are you all ready to meet Elden Henson? Yeah! Well, come on out. Here he is. Oh, I don't know where he is. He's coming. There he is.
Why did you guys stop clapping?
Hey, man. Thank you so much for... Geez, thanks for coming all the way out to Halifax, what?
Yeah, no problem. No problem. It's actually not that long of a flight from New York City.
Oh, yeah. Just zip on up.
Yeah.
Sure. How big was your plane?
Not big enough.
Right.
Not big enough for maximum comfort, although big enough to feel like you weren't going to fall out of the sky.
Yeah, the planes between here and New York are like these little, like, wow, I didn't know that international airports did these little things.
Yeah, there was no propellers on the plane, but it felt like it could have had propellers.
Oh, really? I've had propellers on. I don't think I'm lying about that. I'm pretty sure I've had propellers on.
Yeah, I took a flight. I went to Cuba, and we got on this plane, and it was the sketchiest plane I've ever been on in my life. I don't know if I'm just making this up in my mind, but I feel like there was duct tape on one of the propellers. And I get a lot of anxiety when I'm flying anyways, so I was not doing great. And, different places have different rules when it comes to flying. In Cuba, there's no keep your seatbelt on until you get to your cruising altitude. It's like as soon as the wheels lift off, the music goes on and everyone starts partying and handing out beers, which was great because I was full of anxiety and my tray table wouldn't stay up. It kept falling and hitting me on the knee, and it was scary. But I survived it.
Nice.
And Cuba's a great place. Plane's not dope, but the country itself, pretty great, beautiful.
Nice. Awesome. So we're here. We have some mics set up. We're going to get some questions from everyone. I thought I'd maybe just get the ball rolling.
Right.
You've worked for since you were a baby, in fact.
This is true. I started, actually my first job was when my mom was pregnant with me. There was a sonogram, and I was just about the size of a grain of rice, but I had a heartbeat. And I'm lying.
I was gonna ask.
But I did start young. I started out doing like print ads and stuff. I had like a bowl cut, and my hair was real blonde, and I was chubby and wearing a diaper, and it was all very adorable. And that led to commercials and television, film. Eventually.
So, your life it's almost like been indentured servitude.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know anything else. You know what I mean? And thank God I'm an actor, because I'm not qualified or smart enough to do anything else. So, really lucked out there.
Well, and speaking of I think a number of us have seen you in your latest role in Daredevil. Yeah. Have you? What was the audition process for that like?
It was pretty stressful in some ways. Well, in a lot of ways. So I got my agent, or my manager at the time, was like, "You got to put yourself on tape for this thing." And I said, "Well, what is it?" And he was like, "Well, they're not saying." I said, "Okay, well, how do you know I should put myself on tape for it?" You know what I mean? And he's like, "Well, it's Netflix." And I was like, "I like Netflix." And so I made a tape, and I sent it in. I kind of half-assed it, but I don't know. I did okay. And I thought, that's it. At least my manager won't be calling me anymore and bugging me about making a tape. And then he called again and started bugging me again about doing I was in Germany. I was in Berlin. We were finishing up the Hunger Games movies, and I had to do like a screen test over Skype. Not very good with technology or anything, so I couldn't get the Skype to work on my computer, but I could get it to work on my phone. And that was weird because, like, the guy who was helping make the tape was like sitting kind of far away from me. So then they couldn't hear me. So then he sat closer, and then people started calling me, and it was like I didn't even get through the audition scene once without like them being like, "Oh, Elden, we can't hear you," or "Oh, it was a total nightmare, you know. I didn't think I was going to get the job, but after I did the screen test, Jeff Loeb we got on the phone to talk, and he let me know what was going on and what the project was, and they were like, "Okay," and I didn't know what that meant. I was like, "Okay, what? Like, did I get the job or?" But I didn't know. So for like 2 weeks, I was just kind of like waiting and wondering. And then finally they called and told me that I got the job, but you can't tell anybody. And that was like a weird period of my life, because I had before that I hadn't really I wasn't working, like people would it's a very fickle business, you know what I mean? And I don't know, I just sort of went into a slump, and I hadn't really worked much for 3 years prior to doing the Hunger Games, and I was like excited, I was like, Hunger Games movies, and now I'm doing this Marvel thing, and I couldn't talk about any of it to anybody. Like, not even my friends, you know what I mean? Like, they make you sign NDAs and stuff like that, and...
You're in a good mood, Elden. What's going on? You're in a real good mood.
Yeah, and I don't know, it was weird. But, the truth is like, I was about to have a kid, so all of that was sort of just, trumped by this crazy anxiety inside me of knowing that I'm not qualified to be a father, and that kid was coming anyways, and it was scary, really scary. But we're here. We've done 2 seasons, so that's kind of dope. And my kid's still alive.
Hey!
Yeah. So does someone have any questions out there?
Yeah, let's throw the question. Let's start over here.
Well, first off, he might not be the protagonist, but Foggy is very clearly the hero of those seasons.
Thanks, man.
But that being said, if you hadn't gotten that role, if you could have any role you want, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, anything that's been cast, or anything, if you're a big enough fan that hasn't been cast, hero or villain, if you could actually have any role in that universe other than Foggy, what would you have chosen?
Well, that's a pretty difficult question, but I'm a big Guardians of the Galaxy fan. And I'm a big Chris Pratt fan, like borderline, like maybe it's a little weird how much of a fan I am of him. So I don't know, that'd be cool to work with him.
Okay, thank you.
Or be him.
Hi. First off, I just say I'm a really big fan of Foggy, and like when I first started watching Daredevil, I didn't watch too many shows that was like superhero based, so I really connected with Foggy because he was just like, he was the best friend who did a lot of cool stuff, and he was like, he didn't really have any superpowers or any like weapons or anything. But my question is actually about the Mighty Ducks. Because you were like a kid when you did those, and I was just wondering, what was it like being in these like 3 movies that were actually like pretty hyped and still really fondly remembered?
It was dope. But the funny thing was when the first movie, I was 12, I think, when we shot the first Mighty Ducks. And, when you're 12, I was like either going through puberty or just had gone through puberty. I mean, there was a lot of other stuff on my mind. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, I don't know. I don't think I had a real like understanding of what was happening. You know what I mean? When you're a kid, you're just like, oh yeah, this is what happens. You audition for something, you get the job, start making the movie. It's like not until older and you like learn what disappointment is. But it all seemed very normal. I also grew up in Los Angeles, so there was not only like a lot of other actors at my school, there was other actors that were, even more successful than me, or like a lot of my friends, their parents worked for the studios in some capacity. So it all seemed very normal to me. It wasn't until I got older that I sort of really fully appreciated like how much people love those movies, and I get it. Like for me, Bad News Bears was like my movie when I was growing up. I loved baseball, and so it was kind of cool to be a part of a movie that sort of just ripped off that idea, changed the sport. and made it PG. Thank you, Disney.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
How about over here?
My question
I remember that dude. You came by the table.
Yeah,
What's
this
up, man?
actually turned out to be a really good Q&A.
What's that?
It turned out to be a really good Q&A.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. What is the like? How do you feel about the being part of the MCU? Like, it's a big thing.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about it. It also gives me some anxiety just because I have a lot of anxiety and it increases it. You know, I started acting so young, and I don't know that I would have been, I don't know that I would have grown up and chose to be an actor. I'm not really like my worst nightmare is like right now, like being the center of attention. And yeah, so I don't have that, like, I'm a pretty quiet guy, and, you know, I still got like the same 5 friends that I had when I was 10, you know what I mean? I don't really get out of my comfort zone too often. But all that being said, I do feel very lucky and really happy that I've been exposed to this world and comic book fans, like not just Marvel comic book fans, but comic book fans of, you know, all the different stuff, because I don't know, I find them to be generally like a pretty cool group of people, you know what I mean? And you know, generally they're pretty nice and respectful and don't really, like, you know, give me a lot of crap about stuff. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's been really great. I don't, you know, I wasn't really a comic book guy growing up, so I don't know that I really have a full grasp. Sometimes I feel guilty, like I should have, like the role should have gone to somebody that was like a real comic fan, you know. But I don't know. I'm just kind of glad that like people are okay with the portrayal of Foggy, because, you know, that was like the one thing I did know, that if you guys didn't like Foggy, I would know about it.
You did good.
Yeah, you got it, man.
Just wondering, how often do you get quacked at?
A lot, and it's my least favorite thing in the whole world. You got to understand, people have been quacking at me for the last 25 years. And I get it. Like, it's a thing with the movie and stuff. But, you know, I would say even after year 2, I was pretty tired of people quacking at me. And then, like, year 10, I was, like, angry about people quacking at me. Now I've just given up, and I'm like, whatever, and I don't even really hear it anymore, you know what I mean? But I get it, you know, I get it. I understand that, you know, this band, Big Business, is like my favorite band ever, and I caught them in Austin, when I was in Austin, and I saw the drummer there, and I was like, oh, dude, can I get a picture with you? You know what I mean? So, like, I understand, like, you know, when you really love something and, you know, you want to be a part of that. And but yeah, please don't quack at me, man. I hate it.
Hello.
Hi.
And welcome to our tiny corner of Canada.
Yeah, thank you.
So I'm wondering, I mean, you've done a number of different types of gigs. Do you have a preference? Like, if you could just choose to be paid to do whatever type you wanted, would you want to stay in film? Would you rather do TV? Or, I mean, would you want to stay an actor? Like, would you want to do something else entirely?
I would like to retire. That's not a joke. I think about it all the time, man. I'm tired, you know?
Yeah.
I think when people...
Reproducing will do that to you, man.
Well, you know, most time when people have been at something for 30 years, they're starting to think about retirement. My kid's only 3, so I'm nowhere near thinking about that. But I don't know if I loved baseball. Like, if you know, I could pick any dream, I would choose to be a professional baseball player. Or maybe not even professional, maybe just like a minor league player, you know what I mean?
Who would you play for?
The Dodgers. Of course. It's my team. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I would like to, I don't know, man. I got pretty lucky I never had to like make that decision of like, what do I want to do with my life? I just was already doing something, and I think I realized at a pretty young age, I was like, what other job am I going to be able to work so little and make so much money? So I figured, better stick with this. you know? I hope I answered your question.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
First of all, huge fan. You're definitely one of my favorite characters, and your character actually inspired me to go back to school for a law degree, which I've been
Oh,
trying
nice.
to do for a long time.
Very cool.
Finally doing it. Daredevil's a pretty serious show. It has its funny moments, but I was just wondering, is there any like backstage kind of when you're filming, like shenanigans, anything going on behind the scenes?
You know, people ask that a lot, and I feel bad when I have to tell them that no, there really isn't. But it's not. It sounds like, I don't know. Maybe it sounds to you like people are like, oh, but it's actually. I really enjoy it because I think one of the things that you know, Charlie, Deborah, and I have in common is that we really love our job and we love making the show. And when we're on set, it's like that's where our mind is at, and we're pretty laser focused on getting it done. And it's a TV show, you know, so there's a lot of stuff to shoot in a short amount of time, especially for a show that has so much, you know, action and stuff like that, which thank God I'm not a part of. Jeez. But yeah, so it's not like we don't get along, and it's not like there isn't like a little bit of joking around going on. And, you know, I mean, look, we've had the same crew like since the beginning and stuff, so you really, like, a lot of these people become like our family, you know, so there is, you know, but it's not really like a pranky kind of set or anything like that. Yeah, we like to get the work done.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, I got a kid, you know, so it's like, I don't want to screw around on set all day. I want to like get it done and go home and play with my kid.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Don't he's a turd.
So kind of similar to the previous question, one of the things that I really enjoyed in the Daredevil series was the whole justice aspect and like how is it to be a lawyer. I was wondering, just by curiosity, did they just give you the scenario and say like, all right, pretend you know what you're talking about, or they gave you like some kind of class?
Well, luckily being an actor, you get pretty good at lying. Yeah, sometimes there's like someone on set that's like, oh yeah, that's right. But most of the time I'm like, yeah, Deborah's real smart, you know what I mean? So I'm always like, hey, Deborah, how do you pronounce this word? I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And what does it mean? And yeah, so it's funny, you know, one time I was at one of these cons, I don't remember where it was, but a guy came through the line and he was like, you know, I gotta tell you, I'm a lawyer and all your law jargon is way off. It's all totally wrong. And I was like, all right. And the dude, like maybe 3 guys back in the line was like, well, I'm a lawyer too, and I think it's spot on. And they like got in a whole argument about it. It was pretty funny. And like, I just wish I would have like filmed it, you know, like videotaped it, but I didn't. So yeah, you know, I have a lot of trust in our writers. Like they're awesome. You know, our showrunner from season 1 and the guys that did season 2, like everyone's been really great and all our writers are really strong. So I really do trust them in terms of, you know, what's on the page and stuff. And yeah, there's always people around that I can ask if I have any questions.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
I had a question about the Defenders.
Okay.
You know, we have these 4 casts with their great supporting casts, and they're all kind of coming together, and everyone has their own great chemistry. And I was just wondering what it was like when everyone was all together, kind of in that police station scene, and when you actually kind of saw these worlds interacting fully for the first time. If it was weird, or if the dynamics were off, or it kind of felt like, you know, different clubs coming in onto the same turf sort of thing.
It felt pretty normal to me. I didn't really have, I mean, maybe if you talk to them or the other guys, they might have something different. I wasn't involved with the Defenders that much, so I don't know, it didn't feel that weird. And again, like a lot of the crew that we had season 1, like went on to do, you know, season 1 of Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and Iron Fist, and they all came back for Defenders. So it just felt normal, you know, like when you get on set and it's like, you know, same guy operating the camera, you know, it just feels like you're doing the show. It was fun though, and you know, the thing is, we'd all met each other, so it wasn't like it was the first time we were seeing each other or anything. But working with Ika was really fun. I wish we could work together more, just because he's a really fun guy to like make laugh. You know what I mean? And yeah, that was really, I was glad we got to do a little bit together.
Thank you very much.
Hi.
Hi.
I have a Mighty Ducks question for you.
Sure.
So, when you did that, you were obviously a kid, but you also worked on that with your brother, I believe?
That's true.
So, what was it like working with your brother, and have you worked with him any other time since then, or is that the only time you guys worked together?
Well, it's awesome working with my brother. He's a pretty cool dude. And I'm trying to think if we ever did anything else together. I don't think so. I mean, we've done a couple of shorts. He's directing now, so we've done a couple of shorts, and I know my older brother's actually an editor, so we've all been talking for a long time about the three of us doing something together, but I can't think of anything else we would have. I mean, we might have. I don't know. Maybe I can, I don't know. Maybe tonight I'll go home and look on IMDb. See if anything jars my memory.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
So I'm sure everybody can agree you're really good at crying, and it's not a skill that on set, and it's not a skill that every actor masters. And a force of Daredevil was that you mastered this skill and made the character so much more believable. I wanted to know, is there any tricks that you have, or any mindset, or do something that you do before a scene when you know you have to cry on scene?
I just think about what a disaster my personal life is.
That's so sad.
Think about how my wife asked me for a divorce, and look, especially in Daredevil, I'm working with really great actors, right? So it's real easy to, I guess, lose yourself in a scene, and I think a lot of those things just come naturally if you sort of are just present in what's going on, you know. I was doing the interview earlier, and I was telling someone that, like, one of the things I love most about acting is that it's like, you know, when I'm playing a character, especially a character like Foggy, which is very far from who I am in my real life, you know, it's like a little break from my reality, and, you know, it's like the only time, like, all the voices in my head are quiet, you know, so it's like a nice little, sort of little vacation from myself. And I think, you know, if you're just open to, you know, being in the moment, and again, like, you know, Charlie's fucking awesome, man, so is Deborah, and everybody that's been on the show, John, and, you know, even all like the smaller characters, you know, they're really good. So, and our writers are awesome too, you know. A lot of times just saying the lines can sometimes bring up emotion, you know.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you got it.
Hi. I guess you just kind of answered my question inadvertently, but I was wondering, since Foggy is such a dynamic character that he can be really emotional, but he's also like a badass in the courtroom, but then he's like a flirt, but he's comedic, all that kind of stuff. So are there any aspects of that character development that you personally identify with, or is he just kind of a complete out there character?
Yeah, well, I mean, the truth of it is, I think every character that I play, like, I have to find at least something, like at least one thing that I can relate to. And with Foggy, I think it was his love for his friends. You know, like, he really thinks of his friends as his family. And I've, you know, been lucky enough to have the same group of friends ever since I was really, really young. And I think that's sort of where I was able to, I guess, first sort of get into the character. But yeah, I think, you know, there are some differences, but I would say that's probably the biggest. I'm a little bit of a clown too, you know, and my son is turning out to be the class clown, which is kind of dope. My mom runs a preschool, and he goes to my mom's preschool, and so she's always like, "Your son is exactly like you." He's like, you know, doing pratfalls and stuff like that, and making the other kids laugh. So yeah, I don't know. Did I answer your question? I started rambling.
Definitely.
I don't even know what I'm
Absolutely.
talking
Thank
about
you.
anymore. I'm talking about my mom and my kid.
Hi there. My question is sort of related to what you were talking about earlier with how you said that all you really know is acting. my question is, what do you find was the biggest obstacle that you had to overcome in your acting career?
I think what it is, probably the biggest thing is just, we were talking a little bit about this backstage, is, when you start so young, it's hard for people to stop thinking of you in a certain way, right? So the biggest challenge, I guess, for me was sort of making that transition from being a child actor to like a, teenager, young adult actor, and then again, sort of making that jump to being an adult. Sometimes you find yourself as an actor in these weird sort of limbo spaces where you've been around too long, you're too old to play, a certain character, but you're not quite old enough to play another character, and so there's certain times you just kind of have to, I guess, ride it out. But I guess that's the most difficult thing. And also just, I guess the second most difficult thing would be like the hours. Yeah. I know it doesn't sound like that would be that difficult, but it's long hours.
Yeah. It makes
and
sense.
I don't like getting up early in the morning. I'm not a nice person in the morning,
I'm the
I'm
same
not
way.
terrible, but
Yeah.
I just don't like a lot of questions. Like I need a couple of coffees and
Oh yeah.
some quiet time before people start asking me things.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So my question's about the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
You played one of my favorite characters.
Oh, cool.
I want to know what it was like to play a character that relied solely on your emotions and your facial expressions to get your point across.
It was great. It was really awesome. In fact, every day on season 1 of Daredevil, I was like, man, I really wish I was back doing that Hunger Games movie where like I didn't have to say anything and memorize all these lines. And why does Foggy talk so much? Damn it. It's funny, actually, Charlie, one day we were in rehearsal and he was like making fun of me. He was like, you're the only actor I know that's constantly pitching the idea of you having less lines. But that was another job where it was, it was like I got a call. Like I didn't even audition for that job. I just got lucky. I'd known the casting director for years. I'd been auditioning for her, and I got lucky. And it was like one day I got a call, and then like a couple days later I was in Atlanta, and we were starting the movie. And I didn't really have a whole lot of time to think about it. I didn't even really have time to read the book, but I lied and told everyone that I did. I was like, oh yeah, it's great. I love it. It's really good, really good. Best book of all 3 of them. Yeah.
It was.
But, I think the thing with that, again, with that job is, 2 things. One is Francis Lawrence, man. That guy is probably my favorite director that I've ever worked with, or up there, like he and Tony Scott. I really enjoyed working with Tony Scott. But, he said something to me before we started shooting. We were having dinner, and just kind of like picking his brain. I was like, well, what do you think about this character? Like, what do I need to know about him that like I wouldn't get from the books? And he was like, first of all, there's like everything you need to know is in the books. He's like, just remember that like Pollux is the kind of guy that like even like with all the horrible things that he's been through, like he still chooses to see the beauty in the world. And that really resonated with me. And that's, I guess, was my real...
It showed.
Oh, thanks.
Especially in the scene with Katniss.
Oh, yeah. Well, she's awesome, man. I love Jen. She's really super cool and super funny. I didn't expect her to be so funny. But, yeah, I think it's another time where you just really try to be present, right? And I think the less you do, the more it'll land with people because, yeah, again, like there was a lot of really good actors in that movie, and if you're just there and you're present and you're listening, I think a lot of times things are, you can see it in someone's face, and yeah, and also when you have someone like Francis, like guiding you, is pretty, I don't know, it's a great experience. I had a really good time making those movies. Maybe too good of a time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi. Daredevil really ramped up the writing quality and the acting requirements for a television superhero types series. Did you sort of realize what you were getting into when you you found out what this was about? And did you have to get your head out of the mindset of a children's-oriented sort of superhero show to do the?
I had no idea what I was getting myself into. None. I honestly didn't really have a whole lot of time to think about it. Yeah, I don't know that I was really conscious of like, you know, what we were doing. The only thing that I really was really aware of was that like being on Netflix, we had an opportunity to, you know, be able to do some things that maybe some other shows are limited by, like from being on cable or a network, and like even just swearing, you know what I mean, or you know, a dude getting his head chopped off by a car door, you know. So I think I was just like, wow, this is pretty cool, you know what I mean? Like we really get to do some stuff, and we have to worry less about you know, like a rating and, you know, rules and stuff like that. So I felt really lucky, and, you know, I think even though I didn't have a lot of knowledge of like the Marvel stuff that was going on, I was very aware of the kind of programming that Netflix was doing. Yeah, I think I was, you know, so I was kind of aware of like their, you know, like House of Cards and whatnot, like how good those shows are, and how you're able to do things a little bit differently when you're not like going week to week. You know, you're kind of, you can watch the whole thing at one time. So yeah, I guess, I don't know, did I answer your question? I don't know, man. I did? Okay, cool. Because I don't know what to say anymore.
Next question.
Do you prefer coffee or tea, and what do you take in it?
I like coffee. And I usually just put a little almond milk in there if they have it. If not, some soy milk. Dairy does weird things to me. Try not to eat too much of it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
I just want to know how easy the chemistry was between you and Charlie on set.
It was pretty easy. He's a good dude, man. You know, he's a really, like, he's a good guy. He's a really good actor. He's really smart. Yeah, it was nice, man. You know, I've been pretty lucky in my career to work with some good people, but you know, every once in a while, I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but some actors are dicks. And, you know, luckily on our show, not just Charlie, but everybody was really cool, you know? I didn't really get to work with them much, but, you know, some of the other actors too, I was like a little bit nervous about meeting or whatever, but like, I don't know, once you get into like rehearsals or doing table reads or whatever, you know, all that kind of stuff kind of goes out the window, and you're concentrating on trying to like make something as good as it can possibly be, you know? But yeah, I think it was pretty easy, mostly just because Charlie's such a likable guy, you know?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, and also, he's got the best ass I've ever seen on a dude. I mean, that thing is nice. Real nice.
Hi. Sorry to keep asking you about other actors, but what was it like working with Vincent D'Onofrio?
Well, that's who I was kind of talking about. Then I kind of panicked, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. But yeah, no, that was incredible. Okay. I mean, like, that scene in Full Metal Jacket when he's like 7.62 millimeter full metal, like it's burned into my. I just spit. Did you guys see that? The lights, you could see, it was pretty gross. But anyways, yeah, yeah, he's. I mean, like, he's one of my heroes, you know. And we didn't really get to. I don't think we had any scenes together, but you know, I would see him around and stuff, and he's just a cool dude, you know. That's kind of one of the kind of neat things about being an actor, you know. You watch these people and you wonder what they're like, and you sort of put them up on this pedestal, and you meet them, and they're just like a regular dude, you know. But yeah, he's really awesome.
He's talked about a lot. So do you guys, when someone like that comes on set, someone that is bordering on legendary for a lot of people. Do you guys watch him while he's filming, or do you just do your thing and go?
Well, I didn't really have a lot of opportunity to. We didn't really work on the same days, but I would have. Yeah, I definitely would have. But then again, I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't have because at the same time, I don't want it to be. I still like to watch things as a fan, especially actors that I really love. So maybe I wouldn't want to spoil it for myself. Wait for it to all be done or something.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So, speaking of actors that you really like, who's your favorite Chris Pratt character?
Well, I just started rewatching Parks and Recreation.
Yes.
And, dude, he's amazing on that show.
Burt Macklin, FBI.
His ability to do, he's such a big guy, to do physical stuff is really impressive. I don't know. He's one of those dudes, though. I literally probably watch him read names out of a phone book and be like, oh my God, it's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got it.
Hi, how's it going?
Good.
A couple things. Have you got a chance to eat a donair yet?
I did.
Here?
Just
Amazing?
maybe a half an hour ago.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty tasty.
And you were talking about the anxiety and working in the Marvel Universe. There's a whole bunch of non-disclosure. How much pressure does that put on you, and how do you kind of handle that? Because I know you'll get scripts. Do they kind of give you one at a time and try not to give you a whole lot of information?
Well, they're pretty, even with us, pretty secretive. We don't get all the scripts at once. We sort of get them as we're going through the season. And I think we get them, a few days before we start shooting the episode. But there's a whole lot of security, you gotta have I'm even afraid to say this, but screw it. There's a whole thing, you gotta have a password and a username, and you gotta log into this thing and to be able to download your script, and it's a process. And of course I'm always forgetting my password and everything, and then I gotta call somebody that's actually smart to come over and figure out how to make it work.
Awesome. Thank you.
It sucks, basically, is what I'm trying to say. I would rather not have to keep everything a secret. I hate keeping secrets. I'm not good at it, which I guess is probably a good reason why they don't tell me anything, because I'm not good at. But yeah, I don't know. It stresses me out. I'm always afraid that I'm going to say something wrong or forget that I can't say something.
All right. Thanks very much.
Yeah, you got it.
Hey, yeah.
Hi.
I wanted to know, just where the first Daredevil movie's reception wasn't the greatest, if when you found out that you were going to do Daredevil, were you like, all right, I'm in, or was it like, yeah, okay, let's do it?
Well, first of all, what I will say about that movie is that they made these kinds of movies in a much different way back then. You know what I mean? There was so I mean, I get that people didn't like it, but I think it's, they just weren't able to, I think, make stuff as dark as they can make it now. You know what I mean? And as gritty as they can make things now. So I think in some ways that movie gets a little bit of a bad rap. I'm a huge Jon Favreau fan. I think he's awesome. And he's another one of those guys that he can do no wrong in my book. So I didn't think his portrayal of Foggy was bad. I mean, to be honest, I didn't read the comics or anything, so I wouldn't really know, but I think he's awesome. So I didn't have really a big feeling either way, Again, I didn't really know, I wasn't really hip to the whole Marvel Universe thing and how big it was and everything. I just kind of thought oh, awesome. I know I got a job for the next 6 months. Dope. You know what I mean? I'm having a baby. I'm gonna need to save some of this money. My mind was really just more on personal stuff than how the movie would affect the show and all that stuff. Although I will tell you that a lot of people, it's kind of messed up. We would. I remember we were at it was I think New York Comic Con. It was before the show came out, and we were doing a signing posters and stuff, and a lot of people would come through the line and be like, "Small shoes to fill, huh?" I'd be like, whoa, that's pretty messed up. I was like, I don't remember the movie being that bad. You know what I mean? Like, but, you know, I guess people really take this stuff seriously. You know what I mean? So I get that they want an accurate representation and stuff. But, you know, nobody sets out to make something that people aren't going to like, you know?
Totally. Cool.
I think the idea is for people to like it. I
You
think.
did a good job there.
Thanks. All right.
And we have no minutes left, but I don't want you not to get to ask your question, so maybe we can make it a firing line.
Oh, yeah.
I was at school the other day, and my friends want to know if you'll ever paint your nails again.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, of course. You know, it's a little harder to keep them painted when I'm working and stuff, so yeah, I will. I do wear nail polish a lot. I'm not wearing it now, but yeah. Maybe I'll pick some up after I leave here.
Yes, please do.
Maybe I'll go get my nails did. Thank you.
Elden,
Are we
thank
done?
you. We're done.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you got it.
From everyone at Hal-Con, all of us in Nova Scotia.
Hal-Con.